2, 1. Yo, welcome back. I'm here with my boy. I've known him for a long time. Introduce yourself to
My
everyone.
name is Kenny.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about addiction and recovery and everything that goes along with that. He has a very deep story for us today. But before we get into that, for people like me that don't know anything about addiction and recovery, what is recovery? When I first heard that word, I was like, what does that mean? Like recovering addict, what is recovery?
So for me, it can mean multiple things, but for me, recovering is a recovery is uh, going to meetings, having a sponsor, going through the book and doing the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous, and ultimately, once you finish the 12 steps, you do it for somebody else. So you help the newcomer constantly, and just reaching out to help, and in turn, when I'm helping somebody, it helps me stay sober.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
So it has to be, it's bigger than you. That's what
yeah,
keeps
oh
you.
yeah, 100%. And I've seen people stay sober without that. I'm not saying that's the only way,
Right.
but for me, I've tried every other way, and so recovery, going the AA way, the NA way. I found and what it is you always have somebody that has your back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I always have somebody to call.
Okay.
I always have, I have a sponsor that if I'm really struggling, having a bad day, and I feel like relapsing, I hit them up, and say, bro, help,
Right.
and, they've worked the steps, so they do help. They're not like, oh shit, I'm too busy. The gentleman I'm working with right now, I mean, he's never not answered his phone and literally saved my ass multiple times recently. So,
That's cool, man.
yeah.
Okay, so again, like I said, I don't know anything about addiction, and so I've always wondered, what what leads to addiction? Can you pinpoint anything in your life that you think led you to addiction, like your upbringing, or like did your parents use drugs, like whatever you feel comfortable talking about, like.
Sure, yeah. Drinking was very normalized in my family. Rewind a little bit. Up until the age of 7, had a white picket fence house. Mom and dad are together.
Yeah.
Age 7, they split. And I had never seen my mom drink until after that. And I was living with her. So she began to drink heavy. And at 7, 8 years old, it was like just her and I was like babysitting my mom. You know what I mean? Like taking care of my mom. And so I learned like she would drink when she had a good day. She would drink if she had a bad day. She would drink because it's Halloween. She would drink because it's Christmas. She would drink, so that's what I grew up with. And that's what my friends' moms would do, parents would do as well, Always drinking involved. And, there was other stuff. We were little kids, but there's pills and weed, going around. Yeah, so it was just like learned behavior. And then once, I fast forward a little bit, I didn't have my parents watch it. Like I only saw my dad twice a week or 2 days a week, and he was like the straight and narrow, but he worked all the time. And then I had my mom, and yeah, it was just rough, bro. Babysat her for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you saw your mom drink a lot. She didn't do more than drinking.
So yeah, so my mom's been to treatment, and she is my biggest inspiration today. She's been to treatment like 10 times. A lot of times, and for alcohol. But what really got her, she started smoking drugs, you know what I'm saying? Towards the end, like when I was about 16, that's when I left the house because it was just too much. And
Okay. So you knew that she was doing drugs though.
Yeah.
But at that point you had never done drugs.
No, yeah. So if you want to talk about the first time, I mean, my mom's always been on like antidepressants and shit like that as well. So like the first time I could remember using it was one of her antidepressants. I took the pill. I just didn't know. I was curious. I was 12. Yeah. I was a curious little kid. My brother was born. He's 12 years younger than me, and so then it became my mom was drunk. I'm taking care of my brother now too, right? And so a terrible house to live in. Yeah, I was taking care of him, and then had all my friends, and we were curious. I would do stuff like inhalants, which is like an aerosol can type shit.
So you're just trying out random stuff.
Yeah, Ambien was another thing that I when it first came out, before they reformulated it. I don't know what it is like right now, but then if you took it and you stayed up, you black out. You know what I mean? So I started that 12, 13. About 13, 14, I really started smoking and drinking. Had my neighbors buy me alcohol.
Yeah.
And just doing little dumb teenage stuff, getting in trouble, stealing cars, doing stuff like that.
Okay. That makes me think. So where I grew up at, like, drug addiction was like frowned upon. Like, you like hear people say like, oh, he's a crackhead, blah blah blah. Where you grew up and the people that you were around, was it normal for people to be on drugs, or like did you guys talk shit about people that were on drugs, or what?
Well, I guess like as a 13, 14-year-old kid, I didn't look at I was thinking like a drug addict was a bum. Like that's what a drug addict was. It wasn't
not someone that's functioning.
Yeah, not someone that drinks a half gallon a day but still goes to work. You know what I mean? That's still that ain't good either, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what I saw it as. I didn't see myself as bad. I didn't. I remember my grandma telling me, she said, "You got bad blood both sides, so be careful with it."
So she knew.
Yeah. Well, my grandpa's alcoholism runs deep, and alcohol is acceptable, but for me, it doesn't benefit my life. Right. Like I literally came to terms with that. It took me a long time to, but it does not benefit me. It just brings extra shit that I don't need. Yeah. And so, but yeah.
Okay. Motorcycle. Okay, so fast forward a little bit. You've tried Ambien and all this other stuff. Like, how does the leap from that to like hard drugs happen?
So like it's, I would say, I dibble dabbled when I was like 16. I was with a girl, and her cousin was my best friend, and his mom was a tweaker. And
what's a tweaker?
Smokes meth.
Okay.
Crack, whatever, meth and shit. And so we got a hold of that. So I just tried that when I was 16.
Meth.
Yeah.
And like, were you by yourself or with other people?
I was with him.
And y'all were just like, yo, let's smoke some meth.
I don't know, dude. I was like, whatever. I'll try whatever. I mean, it sounds wild, but like having no parental guidance, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I knew right and wrong, but it was like, well, weed didn't hurt me. Alcohol didn't hurt me. I did a little bit of coke. That didn't hurt me. So like meth was like the next one. But my thing was like, I'm never doing heroin. Like that is the bad one.
Why?
I don't know, dude.
I've heard a lot of people say that. Why is heroin like over here and not meth? Because like where I'm from, bro, before I moved to Washington, I didn't know a single person that had ever touched meth. So people told, like, I had my first client here was like, I'm a recovering meth addict. Well, I'm like, meth, bro. I'm like, that's crazy. Like,
I didn't get too hung up on it. I did it quite a bit. I would go through spurts with it, like a week or two, but I didn't do it too much because I couldn't hide it, right? So like you don't eat. You know what I'm saying? You're up for days and you're
on
just
meth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or even coke. I never really liked it. So 16, 17, 18, I got a job at a bowling alley. 17, I got a job at a bowling alley, and that's kind of where my addiction really took off. There was like free booze all the time. I was a porter, so I'd stock the bar, steal a beer, have people over every single night, do coke all the time,
and so you said you didn't like the way it felt, and but you felt like you had to do it because you were addicted.
Well, when I wasn't necessarily addicted, I was addicted to just being under the influence.
Right.
And so with the booze, it's like when I would drink, that's when I would do coke. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't wake up and say, damn, I'm going to do some meth today. Right. It's just like it would pop up like whatever.
But did you ever get to that point where you did wake up? And
Not with meth. Not with meth and coke. So, like I said, partying at the bowling alley. I remember so funny. My thinking back then was like, I was like, well, I'm going to quit drinking because my girl at the time said I had a drinking problem, but I'm just going to get coke. And that's it, right? So then I'm like, just doing that. So about 18 and a half years old, I'm at my house. A friend of mine comes over, and he's like, bro, I started selling coke. I was like, cool, man, what's up? So he had a bunch of it. Sat up and did it all night. And it was the most I'd ever done. I had to work the next day. It was a Sunday. I had to work at the bowling alley at 5 p.m. So 8 a.m., I'm still up. And I was like, I got to go to bed. And so what I did was I chugged a bottle of I was really on a lot of coke and alcohol. I chugged a bottle of NyQuil and a fifth of Bacardi 151 to try to just pass out. Well, it worked. I passed out, but I woke up at like 11, and I was like, I went and looked in the mirror. I was like, damn, bro, are you okay? And so I flipped on the shower to get in, try to shake it off, and I was out. I had a grand mal seizure, and overdosed in the shower. So my girl at the time, she woke up because it sounded like a overfilled wash machine. You know, like duh, duh. I was flopping around like a fish in there. Popped my shoulder out of socket, and then started. I was like, fuck. Went to the doctors, lied, said no, I didn't do no drugs. They're like, son, you have enough coke in your system to kill an elephant. I mean, I can laugh now, but just how dumb I was to even lie.
Yeah.
And so, and the sickness of it. Here's what I see, bro. They thought I might be epileptic, right? Mm-hmm. I had one seizure my whole life, and so the first thing I asked the dude, I said, "Can I still smoke weed?" Mm-hmm. And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, fuck this, yeah, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I guess I'm gonna have a seizure."
Yeah.
So that's kind of like looking back. That's a sickness of it, and again, around alcohol and drugs, so many bad things were happening to me, bro. I snapped my ankle in 3 places.
Doing what?
Drinking with. I was doing a bunch of ecstasy and drinking, and my best friend was about 280 pounds, and my other buddy was probably 150. They were leaving, and I was like, "I love you, dog. You know what I mean? Have a good night." And I picked them both up, and I fell over, and it fell on my ankle.
Damn, bro.
So then the girl was like, "My mom's a nurse. Your ankle's not broke, you pussy." And it was hella big, right? I was like, it might be broke, so I'm going to go to the hospital for 3 days. Well, then it felt like it was dangling. It was like all purple and shit.
Yeah. I
went to the hospital, and they're like, "You got to be here on Monday to get surgery." So that's why I got a plate and 5 screws in my ankle.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I mean, I'm not trying to like, I've thought about this stuff, but I've never like gone through it with somebody, like talked about it. Mm-hmm. And it's really, it's sick. Yeah. It's addiction in its purest form.
Yeah.
Young, and yeah, addiction, codependency, all that shit was real. Abandonment issues, all that stuff was real thick with me.
Well, I think that is important. That it is a sickness. Like when I was growing up, like I said, I didn't grow up around anyone that I knew. Anyways, they might have had addictions I didn't know about them. And people, just like a lot of other things, they're just like, oh yeah, like they're weak-minded. They could quit if they want to, but blah 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 blah. And it's clearly not that simple. You get what I'm saying? And like, there's obviously physical things that are happening. Like I'm sure you have withdrawals and all kinds of stuff. So if you're having withdrawals, it's physical. Yeah. And it's something that's gonna keep trying to pull you back. And so, anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to get into. I wanted to know about the drugs, but I wanted to know how you got into it. I wanted to know, were you functioning? Because we talked about, to you, a drug addict was a bum. So did you ever get to that state?
No, I was never on the streets or nothing. I always maintained, like, living on the streets. I always maintained a job. So I've been at my place for, like, since 2007.
So that's another thing that's crazy. Like,
yeah.
To me, I just thought, like, if you do hard drugs, there's no way you're going to be able to live day to day. But clearly you can, right?
I mean, for a short period of time. It all comes to an end, bro. And
Did you go to jail?
No.
I never went to jail.
I never went to jail. So I never got in trouble. I've been very, very close. Did a lot of stupid things, pulling guns, that kind of stuff, robbing houses. I got really into that, like, at that same time, 16, 17, 18.
This is what I want to know, too. I want to know how much you had to pay. How much do you need to fund that kind of a habit? Do you roughly like?
Well, so we hadn't even really got into the pill part yet.
Oh, go ahead.
So like, those were like, I was functioning. It's acceptable, right? Mm-hmm. It's not off the wall to be at a bar drinking and pull a bag of coke, right? A lot of people do it. Anyways, I mean, yeah. Maybe just for me, I don't know, but. It was, I got on the pills, bro, and that's what brought me to my knees. And so that's when I realized I saw what withdrawals were. The Oxycontin 80s back in, so I got on those heavy. And this was when I was 22, 23. I got on the 80s real bad. Snorting them. I hadn't even got too deep into them, so I checked into treatment because I had a bunch of life shit going on. I checked into treatment and did the 28 days. I got out, and then I didn't get a sponsor. I didn't do nothing, right?
Yeah.
Half measures. I totally went and hung out with the same people. I was still, going to their barbecues and they're drinking and shit, but I had no program, nobody. It was lonely as fuck. like I couldn't I couldn't be with the drunks, and I didn't want to be with the people that were sober. So it was like I was in the middle. It was like, you know,
Right.
but my friends would do what they could. Anyways, I relapsed after 6 months.
Okay.
And after that, relapsing, I had a bad situation happen, and I ended up getting shot. It was all over booze, blacked out bullshit. I ended up getting shot in the stomach, and I was back on they put me on Dilaudid, which is almost like Oxycontin. It's a little weaker, and then I started trading those for Oxycontin again. So I was like, booze, then that's what I'm saying, like booze like leads me to that. And so then after a little while, I checked back into treatment. This is I don't know exactly, this is probably like a year later. Checked back into treatment. I got out, I got a sponsor. You know, they say get a sponsor, but it's just like kind of like, if you go to the gym and you just sit there on your phone, you're gonna get swole, right? So like, but so you get what you put in with it. And so I just had a sponsor. I was on the first step for 6 months, just fucking off, and I messed up my shoulder. So I've had 4 shoulder surgeries as well, due to, you know, flopping around the bathtub type shit. Went to treatment again on the first step for 6 months. Ended up relapsing from surgery. And then I had met my wife at that time. Got out of treatment and was sober again. So that was my second time. Then my third time. So I've been in treatment 4 times total. And I was with her for about 10 months. And what happened during that time is, you know, the how it goes with pills, it's like you start popping them, right? And oh, that feels good. Then it's like, well, maybe I'll snort it. You know, then it goes to smoking it, and then you start shooting it up, right? That's literally how the game goes. Well, I got to smoking it. When I started smoking it, it was a whole different world. It's a fucking chase. It goes away quick, so you need more. I mean, I got to doing 5 to 10 of those a day, and those were $70 a piece. You know what I mean? So I'm dropping her off at work to go hustle up money to do this, and I like the hustle too, right? And so doing that whole life, she ended up finding some stuff, and I was like, fuck, I guess I'll go to treatment again. I wasn't getting it, but I look back at my story. I didn't do anything. I did half measures, went the third time, and on the third time, I was in Olala, and an old friend of mine that I actually used to use with, he showed up to a meeting that they were having. I was like, dude, what's good? He's like, bro, I've been sober 6 months. It's doing hella good, man. I was like, well, what are you doing? He's like, I got a sponsor. I'm like, you're actually doing this shit? And in my head, I'm like, this fucking guy, right? You know, and I like, it was almost like, how could anybody get like a month sober? You know what I mean? It was wild. And so he's like, nah, when you get out, the day you get out, I want to meet up with you, and I'm going to take you to a meeting. You're going to meet my sponsor. And I was like, okay. So I did that. I ended up leaving early, that treatment. My wife came up and visited me, and I was like, I got to go. And it was like, I feel like I already knew what I needed to do, right? And so I did that. I went, left with her, met with my homeboy Denny. We went to a meeting. I met my sponsor Orlando. Savage, 65-year-old dude. We're complete opposites, but we have this common ground in AA. And he's like, we're gonna get on the steps, because like all humbly, like, it's kind of weird, like, will you be my sponsor? And I took off, bro. Sierra at the time was like, get your stuff right and let's do it. And so, I mean, she would go to meetings with me and all that. And so, first step, second step, third step, fourth step, all the way through. And dude, my life's just starting to go good. Not necessarily like, there was still a bunch of wreckage I had caused. Like,
of course,
my daughter was born when I had 9 months sober. And I mean, Sierra and I went through rough times with, the power was shut off at the house. We had to leave the house. We ended up moving in with her grandma with a brand new newborn, my oldest daughter, Kira. And lived with her grandma for a few weeks. It didn't work out too well there. So we ended up staying in her parents' trailer in their backyard, the 2-week-old baby. And, it was like, thinking back, like, that's pretty shitty, but it was like I still was working something. I had something brewing. Got a house. Anyways, working with the sponsor, going to meetings all the time, helping people out, giving people rides, doing all that. It was great. You know what I mean? And life was good. I didn't feel like I was cured. I don't feel like I'll ever be cured. I feel like I won't ever be able to take a Percocet for a headache.
Yeah.
But life just got good. I mean, we'll get into like my 10 years that I had. You know what I'm saying? That was November 2011 when I got sober. And I can't say enough. Like the promises of the program came true, so it made me a believer. I'm more of a guy like if you tell me something, I'll believe you, but I gotta see that shit. Like I mean, maybe not you.
Right.
You're honest, but the vast majority of people are like okay. You. So everything. I mean, we ended up buying a house. It was like whoa, all this shit. I had no more debt. I had like $50K in debt or something like that. All that stuff was gone. I was like okay. My daughter, I was like, you know, you ain't never gonna see me like that. You know, I'm moving on. Life's good. I would say. And we went through a couple tough times. I would say I worked a solid program for like 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. After that, all my friends are sober still to this day. I don't really have anybody that's, you know, I get along with people that have hit bottom and whatever. So life was good. But they call it white knuckling recovery because, you know, I'm not reaching out. You know, I'm doing a little bit of addict behaviors. I'm quick to anger. That's something else, man. The program teaches me is like not being quick to anger, like loving people, tolerance, kindness, everything. You know what I mean? So, and that's what I love. Honestly, my passion is helping people, bro.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing this. Mm-hmm. If it helps one person, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you want me to get into like going for like?
Yeah, you continue.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So I'd say.
Let me make sure this is. I just want to take a short. Just make sure it's still recording. Just don't want to make sure you get into something deep and we're like, oh fuck, it didn't record.
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, life's good. Sierra and I had our second child, Raylene, love of my life. But I would say they call it a dry drunk, white knuckling recovery. It's what I was doing. I was
the whole 10 years.
No.
Oh,
after I would say like 5 years, you know. And it was like it was all bad all the time. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, looking back, I could have done a lot of things different. And I believe that if I was working a program, you know, I would have been a lot better.
Okay, so let's pretend that someone is watching this and they're doing what you were doing. So what advice do you have for them?
Get back into the program.
Okay.
Get back into it. Find the sponsor. Because literally where you find freedom, for me, where I find freedom is for helping somebody. Mm-hmm. Like, and so during those years, I was sponsoring people. We're going through the big book, this big book right here. You go through the first 164 pages with them, and that's the 12 steps. Mm-hmm. You read it with them. You sit down with another man, and you read a book with them. And in this book is my story, you know, and so that's why I love that book. Mm-hmm. So like I said, I'm playing sober softball. I'm still living life. I'm shooting guns. I'm working. Everything's good. But looking back, I would say like the last 2 years, year and a half, some intermittent addict behavior.
The last 2 years, going back from right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
From right now till 2 years ago.
Okay.
Like some addict behavior.
Like what?
Hustling. You know what I mean?
The selling cards and shit, or outside?
Well, cards kind of. I've always like had a knack for like flipping stuff, and I love it. I love turning a profit. It's something that I like, but.
Oh yeah, you definitely a hustler, bro. Every time I see you doing that, I'm like, how does he have the energy to do all that?
Oh yeah, I love it. I want to be totally self-sufficient. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but so like I love the hustle, and that I wasn't really too deep into it, man. I don't know. I suffered from headaches really bad. Mm-hmm. And so what had happened was, we'll say I was kind of a really dry drunk for the last year and a half. The past like 8 months, you know, I started doing 2 years, I was doing a little bit of testosterone and stuff. And I feel like that's addict behavior, man. You're jamming a needle in your ass. Mm-hmm. And so that is like, I was super scared to do it, but it's like I just did it. So that's like addict behavior. I'm injecting this shit in my ass that I bought off the street. And my doctor originally prescribed it.
Oh, but then you start getting it from somebody.
Yeah, well, I found it way cheaper.
Oh, okay.
I'm a cheapskate. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, if I could get it for like $30, whatever.
Yeah.
And so doing that made me, oh, dude, like, it made me hard to live with, hard to be around, and yeah. So moving forward, we'll start to get into the last few months.
Yeah.
Hard to talk about, but it's that's what I'm here for.
Talk about whatever you're comfortable talking about.
You know, I had it was like a perfect storm. I had somebody reach out to me. I mean, I was in like Tahoe with my family enjoying them. Somebody reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, yo, I got these Perk 15s. Somebody gave them to me. Blah 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 blah. I know you got headaches. Do you want them? You want to get rid of them?" So me, I'm like, "Fuck it, I'll take them and just put them in my safe or whatever."
When you told yourself that, I'll just put them in my safe, did you genuinely think that you were not gonna take them, or did you think what?
I feel like I had reservations, like looking back, that I would take them. Not like I'm gonna turn into a full blown like it's gonna end up bad. Like, yeah, if I have a headache, I'll take one, and then like, I don't know. I was still like, I know sobriety is what's for me. You know what I'm saying? I know that's how I operate the best. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, bro, I had 50 of them, sold 40 of them, had 10 left, and I remember so vividly, bro. I was sitting up in the at work, and I was like, "Damn, man, it's night shift. I got a fucking headache." And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, "Damn, those are in my car." I was like, "Fuck it. I'll just, whatever." And so went and grabbed one, broke it into 4 pieces because I was hella nervous about like overdosing. Yeah. Right. And so I took a quarter of it, and I was like, "Wow, that shit helped. No big deal. Keep it pushing." A day or two later, oh damn, I got another headache. And I honestly believe that I didn't have a headache. You and I talked about it a little while ago. I don't believe I had a headache. I believe that, the mind's a powerful thing. And if there's something I want to do, I could create a headache. Right. So yeah, I took another quarter. And I was almost like trying to prove to myself, like, nah, I ain't going to get on that shit. I'll say like 2-3 days later, it was a half of one. You know what I mean? And I didn't have that bad of a headache. And then, the next day it was like a whole one. And then I'm sniffing it, and it went from, and then I need more. So then I bought a bunch of more. Just, whatever. I'll be able to quit whenever I want. And it got to the point to where I reached out to somebody that I had known for like 20 years. I haven't talked to him since I was like 20. Mm-hmm. But I knew they got some Perk 30s, a little bit stronger ones. And because they had some injury. I said, "Hey, bro, you still got those? You still get those?" He's like, "Yeah, come through." I was like, "Okay." So I went through, and he was looking all over the house for them, and he was like, "Bro, I can't find them, da-da-da-da-da." And I was like, "Bro, I just drove like an hour, what's good?" He's like, "But I got these," and he pulled out a big ass bag of fentanyl pills. Mm-hmm. And I had been hearing about that shit. Like, my boy Ryan died, and my first instinct was like, "Fuck no, I'm not touching that shit. Give me the other ones." And he's like, "Oh, I can't find them, da 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 da." And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, "Fuck," this is probably like 3 weeks into it, right? So like, if I didn't do it for a day, I wouldn't like sit there and shake and have withdrawals from the perks. I would, but my knees would hurt a little bit and stuff, right? Like I feel really weak. I wouldn't want to lift weights. I paid for your training, bro, and I did like six out of 2 months. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Now
so
looking back on it, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I was like,
I was hurt, bro.
Why you not working out?
Yeah. Can I get my money back?
No.
No, but yeah. So I wasn't working out or nothing, and so I was like, "Fuck no, bro. I'm not touching that shit." Like I said, my homie Ryan just died in February from that shit. Yeah. I'm not touching that. And so the sickness of it, when I think back, I was like, "Fuck it," because those phenols are like strong.
I've heard.
They're like 30 Percocets in one. Yeah. So I was like, well, maybe if I just take a little tiny sliver of it, you know what I'm saying, it'll just equate to like what I'm taking. I was like,
bro, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And yeah. And so I bought 50 of them. And I would take those and use those. And it got to the point to, after about a week, he hit me back up and said that he had the ones I originally wanted. So I went and grabbed some, and I did some, and it didn't work.
Bro, that's not scary. That's not scary. Like taking a perk 30 and just being like, yo, it's not
Well, it got
affecting me.
Yeah, and it did. I remember sitting, I was like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to have to do 5 of these. Yeah. You know what I mean? And because I didn't feel it at all. Whole 1, whole 2, whatever. And, so then I was like, well, I'll just do the fentanyl. And so that's essentially what happened, bro. I mean, for about 2 months straight, I wasn't in the streets hustling and shit. I was still functioning. I was going to work. I was at, with my kids. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't dying. There was a situation where we went camping. Some family members noticed that, I was acting different. And my wife had brought it up to me. And she was like, why are you acting like that? And I was like, of course, I started arguing to deflect the situation, manipulate. And so I started a big ass argument so I could get out of it. And but they noticed. And I was almost mad that they noticed. I was like, fuck them, bro. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And so it was, so that was Labor Day weekend. This is still super fresh, bro. So
that's recent, bro.
So October 9th, I had essentially overdosed. I woke up in the morning. I essentially overdosed. I'm not going to get into like full details.
Yeah.
And I told my wife, like, look, I've been using for a couple months. I'm fucked up. I feel like I'm going to die. I called 911. I went to the hospital for a few hours, got out, and then it's the sickness of it, bro, is I still wanted to use.
Yeah, that's insane.
Like right afterwards.
That when you got out of the hospital.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I need to find something or I need to go get my stuff.
Bro, I had done the Oxycontin. We talked about every single drug, and they're all super addictive. There's nothing like the fentanyl shit. There's nothing like it. I don't know. It just had me by my throat, bro.
Yeah.
And I would sit there and think like, fuck, I'm going to be able to quit. I need to get some Suboxone. I need to do this. I need to do that. My kids, my family, da-da-da-da. And I just came back to it, bro.
Yeah.
And then, I came home. My mother-in-law, my mom, and my wife were there, and my brother. And they were like upset, obviously.
Yeah.
The arrogance that I had, I've shed that, and I don't. It makes my stomach hurt to think about how my arrogance was at that time. But I was argumentative a little bit. But I said, you know what? I'll go to treatment. Mm-hmm. I know. Obviously, I just came off a 10-year streak. I know what I need to do. Mm-hmm. So Tuesday, the 11th, I checked in and went through it. Rough. I made sure this time, bro, because what happened was, what else happened during that time when I forgot what it felt like, bro. I forgot what it felt like to withdraw. I forgot that pain, that misery. You know what I mean? And the fentanyl withdrawal was unlike anything I'd ever felt. I was pretty much in a concrete box. It was like a movie, bro. You know what I mean? Like you could imagine. I'm sweating. It's cold. I'm throwing up. All the worst thing. I can't even walk, bro. I couldn't even take a shower. Like my legs hurt so bad. Like my knees, my joints, like everything hurt. My back from where I got shot normally don't bother me, but that my back was hurting. Everything. I was just like, oh my gosh. At that moment, sitting in that fucking place, bro, I was humbled. I was the most humbled I could have ever been. It's like I had this thing come over me, like I realized what I did. I couldn't, like, it was like everything just hit me. I was like a mess. I'm like, everything's fucked up, and it's all my fault. I'm affecting now, or I could affect me. I'll get through that, but I'm affecting my children. I'm affecting my wife. I'm affecting my mom. I'm affecting everybody, bro. Everyone's worried about me. You know what I mean? Yeah. But so yeah, I wrote down my detox, what it was like, what it felt like, what I was feeling inside, every bad emotion you could have, every bad physical ailment. But yeah, so essentially the withdrawals on that lasted I mean, I was still feeling like after 12 days, like my legs were super hurt. It was mainly I couldn't sleep. I was sweating so much. Like, I mean, like wake up and wring my pillow out. Like it was wild how much I was sweating. But yeah, so I in treatment. So like I said, bro, I know what I need to do. I know exactly what I need to do. I have the best fucking sponsor I could ever imagine. And we, I asked him like, bro, will you be my sponsor for a while? You know what I'm saying? Just till, you know, cause he's like my friend too. So that's kind of like conflict of interest, you know? He's like, we'll go through the first 3 steps, but in like 90 days, I want you to, you know, find your own. I was like, deal. And, you know, we're already working on the first step. I'm reading the book all the time. I'm going to meetings. I'm meeting new people. I'm reaching out. That's something else, bro. I'm like, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't know if you're, you know, I'm kind of like that. Like, I'm not very approachable sometimes, you know, and I don't like to approach people. You know, I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, hey, bro, my name's Kenny, and you know, I don't know. I've just never been that dude. But I'm getting my main thing with this whole shit, and it's I've always said it, but I'm actually doing it. Is I'm getting uncomfortable. I'm getting extremely uncomfortable, and doing what I don't want to do. Like, bro, I don't want to do this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't. But I was like, do what you don't want to do. You know what I mean? And so I'm taking every step to make sure no matter what my life looks like, I'm going to be good. And I have to be there for my kids. My kids are my driving force. You know what I'm saying? They are everything to me, bro. And I'm breaking that fucking, that bondage that my family has had in that our family tree. You know what I mean? And hopefully I could, you know, if they ever go through something, I could tell them what I did.
Okay, I have a question that you can choose to not answer if you want. I guess I have 2 questions. One, do your kids know what you went through at all? They didn't know anything about? Okay. So the second thing I would say is, the way you said earlier, your grandma told you have bad blood or whatever. Are you gonna warn them about your family history or what?
I think when the time's right, absolutely.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna demonize anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because for all I know, I'm not gonna say, oh my gosh, my daughter's 21 and she had a glass of wine, she's gonna die. I don't, you know, but I want her to know the dangers of it.
Yeah.
Because it is real.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I mean, it's wild to me that alcohol is illegal, or that it's legal. It is pretty wild if you really think about it.
Yeah.
It kills like more people than anything, or you know, some up there with all the other stuff. So yeah, I'll absolutely warn them. You know what I mean? When they ask me, I will tell them my story. You know, and I look forward to it. You know what I mean? Because at that point, I'll be good. You know, I won't be in it. You know what I mean? I came out of it. Like I said, I get along well with people that have been super low, bro. Like all my friends have been to prison and they were like Skid Row, and it's like now they're owning homes, they're having kids, they're doing well. It's like, you know what I mean? The success stories are who I fuck with the most. And yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was wondering how you would approach telling your kids, because that's tough. Because like I was thinking, you want to get ahead of it, but you don't want to like
they're 10 and
scare
6.
them. Yeah,
they're 10 and 6.
Yeah, no,
you know, you know, we'll have to talk about the birds and the bees and stuff, you know. But like we'll get there. I don't want to rush, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't really have that many more questions, man. You like covered a lot. I guess the last few things I want to talk about, we kind of covered it earlier, but like you said, if you can help one person, you want to help that person, right? So this person that's watching right now that may be deep in addiction right now, or they're getting over it, or just even somebody that hasn't experienced any addiction, maybe we can prevent them from experiencing it. What do you have to say to help people? You know,
I mean, you can't force anybody to stop something. Somebody's got to smack rock bottom. You know,
so you have to hit rock bottom.
I firmly believe that you have to, like, some bad shit has to happen, bro. Otherwise, what's the point? You know what I mean? Somebody, I guess I could say that the promises of the program are true. Yeah, it really is true. I used to think sobriety was like, oh my gosh, I'm sober, this is so shitty. But like after tasting it, bro, it's almost like it feels so good. And I'm not saying every life's all good and it feels good all the time. Shit still goes on, you know what I mean? But I have the tools and the support to get through whatever.
Okay, let me ask you this, because drugs feel good, right, when you're doing them. What about life do you like? What about sobriety do you like? What?
I like that I do stuff. Like I found out during my 10 years, bro, I like to do stuff. Before, my hobbies were, oh man, it's the weekend, let's get fucked up, right? Or it's the whatever, let's get fucked up, let's have a what this and that. But I like to go hiking, bro. I like to lift weights. You know what I mean? I like to play baseball. I love fishing. I love playing poker. I love so many things that I found that I love. And if I was using or drinking, I ain't doing that stuff.
That's okay. That's actually pretty deep, because the person that you are when you were doing drugs isn't even you.
No,
right? Yeah,
dude.
it's not even you. Like,
dude,
you had to be sober to find out who you really were.
Dog, I get into the zone, like when I think back, even to the past few months, it hurts my stomach, bro. Like it really does. And I know right now I'm really new into this stuff again, right? Mm-hmm. I had the 10 years, but I lost that shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? I could take that right on the chin. I did, but I believe it happened for a reason. You know what I mean? And whatever that reason is, if I could save somebody's life or whatever it is, I know good things are going to come if I keep doing this deal. Mm-hmm. The program, the meetings, the sponsor. Mm-hmm. As stupid as it sounds, I can't say enough about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
Oh, that's cool, man. Well, I think we pretty much covered everything. Let me just make sure that there was nothing else I wanted to ask. No, we talked about rock bottom. We talked about that. If there's anything extra you want to say right now, you can get it off your chest before we finish this. Do you want to tell them any of your socials, just in case someone's watching this and they want to reach out to you? Because
Instagram is KWWWW818. I mean, I mainly on Instagram, not really Facebook or nothing. I'm on Facebook a little bit, but not so much.
Yeah, I'll put his Instagram in the description and all that. But I just want them to be able to reach out to you, just because it's better to talk to someone that's going through it. They can reach out to me, but I'll be like, I don't know about it.
I'll say this, bro. I believe no matter how far a bottom you are at, there's always hope. There is. I've seen it over and over and over again. I can't stand when people will say, oh, well, my brother relapsed and he never got better and he died. I know that's sad, but that's not everybody's story. Mm-hmm. Just because you had an ex-boyfriend or a grandfather or whatever that couldn't get out of it doesn't mean I can't. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't mean they can't. Mm-hmm. I've seen 40 years recovery. I've seen in that person at 40 years, he relapsed 15 times. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that gives me hope. So that's where the program works too. I'm like, damn, he did it. Because it's easy to get into, I had 10 years now, I only have this much time. Oh, da-da-da-da. It's like, nah, we're moving, bro. You know what I mean? We know the moves. We got support. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And so that's what I could say. There's never too low a bottom. I've seen bums off the street that literally been on the street for 10 years get jobs and literally do well in life. And so many times. So yeah, I would just say that. Not everybody's story is the same. Nobody's going to tell me that I can't do it. Or just because your buddy didn't do it, doesn't mean I can't do it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just that's a mindset thing. I mean, I believe that's true for everything in life, though. Like, sports, real life, everything. Like, you have to forget about yesterday and focus on tomorrow. You know what I mean? So
you mentioned a question about does rehab work? Do I feel like rehab works? Mm-hmm. Right? And no, it doesn't. If you don't do it, it's the same. If you don't do the deal,
yeah.
Rehab is like the work starts when you get out, bro. Mm-hmm. They tell you, they saturate you with all the stuff that you need to do, but people are like, oh, I don't care. Oh, I just want to go eat lunch. They don't care. They're not soaking up the game. So when they get out, they're like, well, fuck, what do I do? Then they have, they stub their toe and they need to go have some booze. You know what I'm saying? Or they need to go do what they do. It's just like the gym, bro. It's just like the gym. You get what you put in. You're gonna benefit more the more you do it, the more you're working it. And if you're not, you're not. And so like I love the part of my story. Like I did it treatment. I didn't do anything. Then I did the first step for 6 months, and then I did it. And I saw it. I saw the 10 years. I saw the promises. And So yeah.
Okay, let me ask you one last thing then. You made it to 10 years and you relapsed. What is your plan? What are you gonna like? What do you do to ensure that doesn't happen again?
I'm doubling down, bro. I'm doubling down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
So you don't. Let me think of a better question. Do you think there is anything that you would like move out the way, change? Like, okay, like it was a friend that offered you the perk 15s or whatever. Yeah. Is there something you're gonna do in the future to ensure like people like that can't contact you, or to do something to make sure you don't take the perks?
Yeah, so that was like a rare thing. That hadn't happened to me before, right? And so
it caught you off guard.
Yeah, and so that person is like feels horrible, right? For like he feels partially responsible for it. And I told him, I said, dog, it's not your fault.
It's not.
It's my fault.
Yeah,
that's one thing else I want to say. All this shit is me, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm not blaming nobody else. Yeah. I'll take it, whatever. If people want to hate me because of it, I can't do nothing about it, bro. I accept people or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not his fault. And, you know, the boundary's set, though. You know, I don't know. I don't feel like all my friends are sober still. So, like, I don't feel like I'll encounter that again. But for right now, if I was to, I mean, my kids, fuck that. I think of it as, you know, you're fucking with my kids. Like, somebody would be pretty fucking dumb to say, hey, bro, do you want this? Because I feel like I might flash. Because it's like, I might not flash, but I might get a little upset. Because that's if they know what I went through, and especially if they know my story, and like, you know, you're just trying to bring me down. I honestly don't see it happening. I'm not hanging out with anybody that's shady characters and that's another thing, bro. I'm super grateful. Like last time I came in, I didn't have any sober friends.
Yeah.
I didn't know who to, you know, I still had all the friends that used. So like now I'm out and all my people are here, bro. And you know, like even talking to you, man, you've been a huge inspiration to me. Like a lot. I mean, I know we debate a little bit.
A lot.
And that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that we could have differences and we can sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, me and this dude argue a lot. In Instagram DMs.
Voice
like,
messages.
No, like, bro, you're wrong. I don't believe that. Like,
oh, yeah.
Nah, but you're right. It's cool, though. Like
but most of the time you are right. I'm like, damn it, that guy. But yeah, man.
Yeah. So, that's cool, man. Like, I appreciate you coming and doing this, man, because, like, you know what my podcast is all about. It's about self-improvement and, you know, just I like bringing people's experiences to this, whatever it might be. You know, I've had my mom, my dad. My dad got shot, too. My mom is a domestic violence survivor, so she came on and talked about that. And just, yeah, man, same goal as you. I want to help as many people as I can, and you have an experience that I don't have at all. Like I said, I don't know anything about that world, so getting to have you on here, and knowing that even if it only helps one person, you know.
How about this? Cool. Also, we'll say this, not just my Instagram. I like if you put my phone number on there too.
Okay. My
phone stays on, and if there's anybody that ever needed help with whatever, I don't care what it is. I could be a closed mouth friend with no opinions or nothing and no judgment. But if you are going through it, you literally don't have to do nothing alone. If you're doing something on your own, that's because you're choosing to. But I literally no judgment. I don't care if I've known you for 10 years and you've been doing heroin behind everybody's back. You know, I'm a closed mouth friend, and I would literally do whatever I could to help. But yeah, I just want to toss that out there. So yeah, seriously, he'll put my phone number up on the shit because, you know, my KWW, you know, get lost. Just 5 W's. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hit me up, man. Hit me up whenever. I'm on a mission for, this is corny, mission for transition, and I'm moving. You know what I'm saying? I'm moving, bro. And you know, so
I got you.
Yeah. So.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, and we're gonna end it right there.
Thank you.
Peace.